Hello, everyone. Welcome to another meetup organized by Magnimind. Today we have a distinguished speaker, Dr. Mustafa Bal. So today's topic is cloud security and career opportunities in the field. And Dr. Bal is going to. So Dr. Bal gave a talk before. He was with us before. So he's a Microsoft cybersecurity architect and a cloud security specialist with a holistic understanding of cybersecurity and risk management. So he has hands-on experience in cloud security and SOC environment. And he also has gained international experience in the safety and security field. And then he has been working as an operations officer. He worked actually as an operations officer and security analyst within the ranks of the United Nations. So he has experience of public and private sector. I think we are going to benefit tremendously from his talk today and possibly talks in the future. So Dr. Bal, could you please start your meetup? Thank you.
So thank you very much for your nice introduction and for the opportunity. So I will share my screen shortly. One second. So, it's coming.
Are you having difficulty with sharing? Oh, okay. Okay.
It's coming. One second. So can you see my screen?
We can see your screen. Maybe you can switch, swap the displays. So we are seeing the presenters. Yes, thank you.
Okay, one second. Then this is not really convenient for me. Let me change it again quickly. I will share it again once. So how about now?
Yeah, it looks perfect now. Thank you.
Good, great. So sorry for the problem. So we will talk about today. We will talk about cloud security and career opportunities in the field. So as far as I understand and see, we have an audience or participants from a mixed background, mixed professional and academic background. And I think some of us already working in the IT, different domains of the IT industry, and some of us are working already in cybersecurity field, and some of you are considering entering into the field of cybersecurity. So I hope I can offer something relevant and valuable for everyone. So yeah, the outline will be a brief introduction into the surge in the cyber attacks, recent threat landscape, and we will talk about cloud security and challenges specific to cloud security, and cybersecurity talent gap and career opportunities in the cloud security. So this is going to be the first part, and in the second part, there will be an overview of Microsoft security tools. So this is, but my intention is not to offer an end-to-end demo here in the second part, but to be I would like to show you to the extent possible some of the tools of Microsoft. So it's not going to be end-to-end use case, but we will go through several different security tools of Microsoft in the cloud. So this is from IC3. So as you know, this is IC3 is the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center. And as you see here, from 2017 until up to 2021, there is a steady increase in the complaints and losses over the last 5 years. So IC3 receives average on average about 550,000 complaints per year, and alone in 2021, as you see in the chart, it's almost 850,000 complaints, and the losses, the potential losses, is 6.9 billion. So this is a huge. These are huge numbers, and the trend, as you see, is on the rise. I mean, it's not changing, and it's not expected to be changing for the good. And in fact, unfortunately, we don't have this is the latest statistics from IC3, but I expect personally a more a proportional surge and increase in the year 2022. And so as you see, the numbers are really enormous, and this means that this is a lucrative business for malign individuals. Malign, this could be sometimes individuals, right? And sometimes organized criminal groups, or sometimes entities, state actors. And so given the gain, material gain that attackers gets from cyber crimes, so this makes the cyber attacks more attractive for new actors in the field. So, and in fact, fraudsters, so attackers or hackers, however you call them, have become more sophisticated during the years. And although the preventive measures that have been taken by the organizations or by states, governments, the hackers also are developing themselves. And the COVID-19 pandemic restrictions made, as you know, in-person meetings and remote work and home office works a better choice for organizations and companies, and this led to an increase in the internet activities, and this offered an opportunity for hackers. And the trend is not going to be changing, so it's going to be even worse probably this year. So as you know, there's different variations of COVID-19, and so we can easily expect a similar increase in the coming years. 2022 to already we had, and 2023 will be different. So we would like to have a look at here at the threat landscape. ENISA is the European Union Agency for Cybersecurity. So they identified the prime threats in their analysis for 2022. Ransomware is the primary threat. So as you already know, or you might have heard it, ransomware could be defined as a type of attack where a threat actor take control of the assets and targets asset and demand a ransom in exchange for return of the assets availability. So this is the number one threat. Sorry. And malware is the another threat, prime threats. So malware could be also referred as malicious code, and these attacks describe software or firmware installed in the target's machines or systems to perform unauthorized process that will have an adverse impact on the confidentiality, availability, or integrity of system. And the other one is social engineering threats. So this could be in various forms, social engineering threats, like phishing attacks. And of course, there are different types of phishing attacks, whaling attacks, smishing, wishing attacks, etc. And threats against data. So the data increases tremendously with the use of internet, and so the threats against data is another attack vector in the threat landscape. And threat against availability. So this is the denial of service attacks. Denial of service attacks are the type of attacks that a service or a system are made unavailable with the intention of attackers. So they overwhelm, exhaust the resources of the target, and so you cannot reach the system. So this is another threat. And so disinformation and misinformation, and this is relatively, it's not new, but we can say that in the last year, so with the start of Russian war in Ukraine, this has gained a new stage or step because it really increased. It can be observed clearly that disinformation and misinformation as a potential focus for the cybersecurity professionals in coming years, not maybe in the industry, but more in the public sector. So before, for example, here, during this war between Russia and Ukraine, people's perceptions are manipulated within different means. So this is also our subject, depending on where you work, of course, which organization you work. This is also a type of focus for us, for cybersecurity professionals. Okay, another is supply chain attacks. So this is also very important. Attackers targets the relationship between an organization and their suppliers or their service or their providers. And so major trends in the threat landscape, impact of geopolitics on the cybersecurity threat landscape. So the conflict between Russia and Ukraine reshaped the threat landscape. So this is very clear. And this caused also an awareness or increased awareness among some governments. So this is very noticeable, especially in Europe. Because we have been, for example, receiving alerts before some major attacks that are planned by Russia, so that some attacks could be against some of the critical assets. So this is something very frightening, in fact. And so destructive attacks are a prominent component of the operations of state actors. A new wave of hacktivism has been observed, especially since the Russia-Ukraine crisis began. Disinformation is a tool in cyber warfare. And so I will talk about why this is important, because as I just said, this is probably not very directly relevant for the industry, but public sector will need and will need more cybersecurity professionals. So threat actors are increasing their capabilities. So this is really clear. They are becoming more resourceful. They invest in their tools. So when they get, for example, money from ransomware attacks, so they invested for further development, and they buy zero-day exploits and continuous retirements and rebranding of ransomware groups. This is also another trend. They are, for example, if they got under the radar of any law enforcement agency, for example, they just finish their, or apparently finishing their business, but regrouping or renaming, rebranding their organization and continue to work, to attack. And hacker as a service business model gaining traction, and threat groups have increased interest in and exhibit in an increasing capability in supply chain attacks and attacks against managed service providers. So this is also a big problem. For example, when a hacker group successfully attacks and exploits a managed service provider, then they have access to many different organizations or companies, because managed service providers, as you know, provide security services for different organizations. For example, they provide security operations center service, and when the attacker get hold of a managed service provider's system, so they directly have access to, or not necessarily, but they might have access to different companies in one attack. So this is also a trend. And so I will go over these quickly so that we can have more time in our Microsoft security tools. Ransomware attacks against availability ranked the highest during 2022. So DDoS attacks, so distributed denial of service attacks are on the rise. And phishing is the most common vector for initial access. This is unfortunate. This have been the trend since several years, and so yeah, we should be very careful about it. So malware is on the rise again. Extortion techniques are evolving, and we have even seen, or this is becoming an increasingly the kind of default method for some ransomware groups, that they are using double extortion techniques. So it means that they infiltrate into a system and they encrypt the system. So they made it unavailable for the owners, for the organization or for the company, and then they also exfiltrate the data. So this is the meaning, in fact, the double extortion. And this is a very common problem now in ransomware attacks. So we have talked about this, are getting larger and more complex to overcome with. And novel, hybrid, and emerging threats are marking the threat landscape with high impact. So this is also troubling. Machine learning models are increasingly becoming the target. And as you already observe, machine learning and AI models are being used increasingly in our everyday life. We have been using it without knowing, and they are becoming the target of cyber attackers or hackers. AI-enabled disinformation and deepfakes. This is also an emerging trend in threat landscape. So, as we said already, public sector cybersecurity talent gap is huge. So this is a number for United States. There are 36,000 job openings at federal, state, and local levels. I think there have been already like around 75,000 employees in cybersecurity field in public sector in the United States. But as you see, there are around still 36,000 job openings. So this is relatively a recent number. And I don't think that this became better. I mean, this probably is larger now. So cloud security, what do we mean with cloud security? So cloud security refers to the set of policies, technologies, and controls implemented to protect data and applications and infrastructure associated with the cloud computing from unauthorized access, use, disclosure, disruption, or modification, manipulation, or destruction, as I said. So it's a multifaceted discipline that includes the protection of data in transit over the internet, data at rest when we store it in the cloud, and data in use when it's processed over the internet through applications or directly by the users. It also includes the protection of infrastructure and platforms. So cloud security is becoming a crucial consideration in today's digital landscape. So this is clear, I think, why it is so, because cloud is increasingly adopted by different companies, organizations all over the world. And complexity of the cloud environments, why it is complex, because it's dynamic and it's a challenge to secure. And the complexity makes it difficult to detect and respond to security incidents. And if it's not configured properly, so the consequences might be very devastating. So shared responsibility, what do we mean with shared responsibility? So we have the cloud providers, and we have the users. So cloud providers are responsible for securing the underlying infrastructures, and customers are responsible for securing their own data. So, but this, of course, depends on the service type that they have. As you know, there are different cloud service types, like platform as a service, for example, infrastructure as a service, software as a service. So depending on which type of cloud service you get, you have a shared responsibility between the provider and the customer. So data breaches is another issue, why it makes cloud security crucial for the digital landscape. The increased amount of data and the availability of data in the cloud makes the cloud as a potential target for attackers. And regulatory requirements. So as you know, there are different regulations and standards depending on which branch an organization works, there are different regulatory standards or requirements that organizations have to comply with, like PCI for credit cards or HIPAA for health, or for organizations or companies who do business in health field, health business. And of course, there are cloud-specific threats. With this, we referred more to the misconfigured cloud settings, where attackers might easily get hold of if they, for example, access to a system or to a resource is not configured properly. So main pillars of cloud security, we can say that identity and access management is the main pillar. So it's identity access management is used to control access to the cloud resources, data loss prevention, data encryption, and resource and security monitoring. So of course, it's a subjective assessment. You can add some more pillars, or you can define it in a different way. And some other key areas of focus for cloud security could be vulnerability management. So you have different services and resources in cloud environment. This could be your virtual machines, your servers, and your services. For example, let's say in Microsoft, we use Azure Key Vault for secret management, and this is different. It's keys and secret management is a very important issue in cloud, and so an attacker might directly target Key Vault, right? So vulnerability management, incident response and disaster recovery, compliance and regulatory requirements, network and infrastructure security, so and risk management. So different cloud security providers or third-party companies offer different solutions for these fields or these attack vectors, or but the major cloud security providers like AWS, Google, or Microsoft offers some built-in native security solutions for these issues. So threats and vulnerabilities specific to cloud environments. So please do not understand this exclusively specific to cloud environments. It's in fact not. So for example, misconfigured cloud resources. So this could be misconfiguration could be also on relevant for on-premises resources, right? For example, this occurs when a virtual machine, let's say a virtual machine or a storage bucket are not properly configured, which can lead to data breaches. So insider threats, as I said, this is not exclusively specific to cloud environments, but in the cloud. So you have, of course, remote users, mostly remote users. And insider threats here become a more challenging issue that organizations should take care of. So this could be also from employees that and external providers or contractors. Inadequate security controls and shared responsibility model. So here we mean with the shared responsibility model. Sometimes customers heavily depend with a misperception on the cloud provider, and they omit, for example, protecting or securing properly their resources, their data, their applications, depending on the service model that they get, and lack of visibility. So this is also an important issue. Sometimes big organizations have so many resources and they just kept losing the inventory. They just forget where they have their resources even. And so, of course, this is a big problem when you don't have a proper asset management. So you don't know what's going on in your virtual machines that you created like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This could be a server, a storage account, and API vulnerabilities. Cloud environments rely heavily on APIs, and these can be targets for attackers, such as or attacks, such as, for example, injection attacks, authentication bypass, or abuse of functionality, and lack of physical security. So cloud environments are not bound to a physical location, at least for the customers. And shadow IT. So shadow IT, the easy access to cloud resources can lead to employees to set up, for example, their own cloud environment, cloud resources. And it's if the access management or resource management not properly configured, employees can create any resource without the knowledge of security department, for example. So cloud security solutions. Major cloud security providers offer a wide variety of cloud security tools. Native security tools can be broadly categorized as identity and access management tools, data loss prevention solutions, network and infrastructure security tools or solutions, and compliance and regulatory solutions. Application security is also another service that major cloud security providers offer. And of course, endpoint security, which is also very important. So I will just quickly show here AVC security tools. For example, I will just go through the names. I will not go into the details. This is identity and access management for AWS. Sorry. So they have also Amazon Guard Duty. This is like endpoint detection and response tool. What's going on? They have also Amazon Inspector. This is an automated security assessment service. Amazon Macy is a security service which search and investigates sensitive information in a AVC cloud environment. So certificate manager, web application firewall, key management services, security hub, and resource access manager. Let's see what Azure native security tools are. So of course, these are not a complete list. So these are just some of the tools. And please remember that, especially for Microsoft Azure, the list is changing continuously and the names are changing continuously. So this is a challenge for people who work with Microsoft security tools. But it also shows that Microsoft investing heavily in security research. So that's why they are developing or offering new tools, new solutions. They're sometimes changing the names. So this is a challenge, but on the other hand, it's good that they are investing. So here are Azure Active Directory for identity and access management. So they have Defender suite, which we will we will see shortly. Azure information protection, so Key Vault, Azure policies, virtual network, web application firewall, Azure Monitor, Microsoft Sentinel. This is Microsoft's security incident and event management tool, and distributed denial of service protection, for example. This is another service that Microsoft Azure offers. Of course, these tools, most of them are charged separately. So depending on your license, you might need to pay extra for some of these services. Key Vault policy are free of charge as far as I know, so you can use with any Azure resource. Active Directory is also free, but for Microsoft Sentinel, you have to pay, of course, extra. And DDoS is an expensive service that Microsoft offers. So here is the Microsoft Defender XDR suite. And unfortunately, I'm not really sure if this might be changed already. I have prepared this very recently, but I'm still not sure because, as I said, it's really unimaginable, very changing very often. So, so they have Defender XDR suite. What does this mean? Extended detection and response suite. So extended detection and response. So these tools or services helps you detect a problem, an incident, or an anomaly in the system, and also helps you respond properly or appropriately to the incidents. So we can categorize, or they categorize this in under two titles, like Microsoft 365 Defender and Microsoft Defender for Cloud. So Microsoft 365 Defender have different suites, different tools here. Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office 365, Identities, Cloud Apps. So these Defender for Cloud Apps is different than Defender for Cloud. Here, Defender for Cloud Apps, in fact, for SaaS applications, so say software as a service applications. So this is not necessarily applications from Microsoft, but for example, you can monitor or you can protect your Zoom application under Defender for Cloud Apps. So under Defender for Cloud Apps, you can see, for example, to which privileges your Zoom applications have in your organization. Defender for Vulnerability Management, this is a relatively new offering that Microsoft publicized recently. Active Directory Identity Protection, Data Loss Prevention, Governance, Defender for Cloud. The Defender for Cloud should be here. So Defender for Cloud are so Defender for Cloud is Microsoft's solution for the services that they offer under their Azure offerings. So Microsoft Azure have about, I think, more than 200 different services in the cloud. So some of them, as you can see here, for example, they offer servers, storage, SQL servers, container services. And for each of these services, Microsoft offers a Defender suite or Defender solution that is specifically developed for these issues. For example, Defender for containers. So here you can protect your containers, and Defender for app services, Defender for Key Vault, Resource Manager. Each of them have a different focus, and these tools can be incorporated with Microsoft Sentinel, which is the CM solution of Microsoft. So what was the CM solution? Security Incident and Event Management. And it's good that the Microsoft products are easily integrated, easily could be connected to each other and used without any problem. So global shortage of cybersecurity professionals. So globally, the shortage of cybersecurity professionals is estimated to be 2.7 million. So this is a study from 2021. And as I said, I don't think that this is going to be less in 2022 or in 2023. So this is changing for the worse, So at national level for USA, total cybersecurity job openings is around 700, almost 800,000. So the biggest skill gaps in today's cybersecurity professionals is, as you see, 54% soft skills, and here 52% cloud computing. So if you are planning to get into the field, cloud computing, or if you're already in the security field, IT security field, cloud computing could be a good source of, or good focus of concentration to work and promote in the security field. And entering cybersecurity workforce, so there are different tracks, as we could define it. So CISA's 2019 report identifies 3 different methods in entering cybersecurity field. So one of them is after graduation from college. So I've been in touch with many students who are studying computer science in bachelor degrees, but they are mostly having very limited classes about cybersecurity. But this is still a source of entering for a track of entering to the field of cybersecurity. And a second one is cross-training for people who previously worked in IT or who may have a tech background. And the third is those who lack technical training but have other skills that can be used in different cybersecurity roles. So, but I would say that we can add another track here, a 4th track for people who have no background in cybersecurity, or who don't have any relevant background in IT field. So this is also another track. And in fact, I'm coming from this track. So I have a PhD degree in social sciences, and I have been in the IT industry since about 4 years. And I am myself a graduate of a boot camp. And so, of course, it took me a lot of work doing this boot camp, because boot camps are intensive, might be intensive, depending on the program. But there is a possibility. So I'm a living sample of this. So I have no IT background or no technical background. And as I said, my graduation is from a social science degree, but I'm here in the field since about 4 years. And after you get into the field, most of the time, if you work hard, and you will have quick opportunities to further advance in the field. And so we said cloud certifications. There is one certification from ABS Certified Security Specialty. This is just to show you the different certificates, but I will not get into details. But I might say I can say that this is relatively an advanced certificate that you might consider to get, but you can, there are other options, I would say. And Google also offers offers its own certificate for cloud security professionals, Google Professional Cloud Security Engineer Certificate. So this is from Google, and Microsoft has a different structure here, as you see. So they are not offering only one certificate, but offering at the moment 5 certificates. In fact, there is also one another, which is an advanced level certificate. So we can consider it 6 certificates. So there is also SC100, Microsoft Security Architect Certificate. And so I might be biased, positively biased against Microsoft, because I have been heavily or predominantly working with Microsoft tools since a few years. And so my current employee is a Microsoft partner, and so a joint venture from Microsoft, in fact. And that's probably why I would have an inclination to recommend you to focus on Microsoft, but on the other hand, I think it's also an objective suggestion that as you see, Microsoft offers you different options in that you don't have to cover every aspect of cloud security, Microsoft Cloud Security in one certifications. So these certifications offers you a path, a syllabus, so to say, where you can study the topic, the focus of the certificate. For example, this SC900 is about compliance and identity fundamentals. So if you consider the certificate of AVS, so you have to have a knowledge about almost all of these focuses to get this certificate. But for Microsoft, this is a relatively easy path. You can get, for example, you can focus on information protection administrator. It's of course not, I don't want to oversimplify. Of course, it's not that easy, but it's achievable. So you can focus on one of these certificates, and this could provide you, if you are new to the field or if you're considering entering to the cloud security, you might just focus one of these certificates. Of course, we would say that you should probably start with the simplest one or the most fundamental one, SC900 probably, and then go through depending on your, of course, personal preparation and your opportunities. And of course, when we talk about these cloud security certificates, it's first of all, it requires a cybersecurity fundamentals for cybersecurity fundamentals. So you need to have cybersecurity fundamentals. Then you can base on that with this one of these paths. And since the talent gap in general in cybersecurity field, and especially in cloud security, any of these certificates from AWS, Google, or from Microsoft would provide you a relative advantage in entering to the field. And this is what I have observed for myself and for my colleagues, friends around me. Sometimes, even if you don't have much experience in cloud, Microsoft Cloud, or any of the clouds, getting one of these certificates after, of course, having a fundamental knowledge in cybersecurity helps you a lot. And why I would also say that cloud security is a relatively secure trajectory, I would say, what I mean with that is it's more structured. Cloud security is more structured, I should say this, because you will be working mostly in a cloud environment with a security tool that one of these security cloud providers offer. So you will be working with within the menus of, let's say, Microsoft Sentinel. Of course, it's not easy. You have to dedicate your time to learn and to profess on it, but it's achievable. And I find it a better way, a more structured and fun way, in fact. And another issue is that it's relatively easy to get certified. So, and certifications proves that you have the basic knowledge for a certain topic. And this gives you the opportunity for your potential employer that you can work on this area. And I should also say that the industry also aware of this. Of course, they are aware of the talent gap. So they're aware of the talent gap. So they know, I mean, IT companies, organizations, governments know that they cannot provide cybersecurity workforce directly from college. So they know that. And then they also know that they cannot also take enough applicants from people in the IT, in the different domains of the IT. So that's why they're open to people or to applicants who did not have any background in the IT field or didn't have any official or formal education in the let's say computer science, but who had boot camp training. So that's why people who graduate from a boot camp, cybersecurity boot camp, have great opportunities. So this is something that industry professionals also see and accept. So they, as long as they see some of the fundamental knowledge and certificates in a candidate, of course, there's always an interview process. So you have to prove that you have this basic knowledge and experience as much as possible. So you will have opportunities to be employed. Okay, so unfortunately this took longer than I expected. So I will close this and go to one second, our demo environment. I will share my screen again. Am I sharing my screen now?
Yes, you are sharing your screen.
Are you seeing the browser?
Yes.
Okay, I have to close this and share again. So you see my screen with the Safari browser, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is our portal for Azure, portal.azure.com. Here, okay, you go to home. As you see, this is not much different for any of the major cloud providers. So they offer really around or more than 200 services, different services. As you see, general services, compute, virtual machines, function apps, app services. So Kubernetes, networking services or solutions, DNS zones, storage, web, mobile containers, etc., and even machine learning and AI solutions, right? So there are many hundreds of different services. So the first tool we should maybe looking at is the Azure Active Directory. This is for management of identities. So we have here users. So this is a demo environment, so that's why I can just easily share my screen. Of course, it would be not possible for an enterprise environment, right? Azure Active Directory offers you different solutions with identity management, like single sign-on passwordless management, MFA, multi-factor authentication, which is really very important and one of the fundamental security precautions that every organization must take, and conditional access, privileged, for example, privileged account management, identity governance, lifecycle management. So we have here users, and we can, for example, assign role-based access controls for different users. So this is also a basic concept in cybersecurity, role-based access. So, and least privileged, of course. You can do this from Azure Active Directory easily. You can assign roles depending the least privilege principle with whatever the role that the employee needs for that role. And here, one second, what is this? Sorry. Active Directory. Security. So we have here conditional access options. So this means basically that, for example, you can require, as an organization, you can require some extra steps for an employee or for a contractor to be able to sign into a resource or to the company assets. And you can also set up multi-factor authentication where user needs an extra step other than providing their own passwords, username and passwords. So by the way, using usernames and passwords are another very effective way of security. So, and Microsoft Sentinel, as I said, this is security incident event management tool of Microsoft. So this is entirely cloud-based. And by the way, why I focused on Microsoft is that, other than that, I have been working with Microsoft products, is that Microsoft is investing heavily in cybersecurity. So they declared in 2021 that they are planning $20 billion for the next 5 years for cybersecurity. So this was around, as far as I know, 1 billion before that, $1 billion per year. So 20 billion for the next 5 years. And I believe that they will have a bigger market share in the coming years. And in fact, as far as I remember, the portion and the share of the ABS is around 33 in the cloud business. I mean, Microsoft Azure has 22%, and Google Cloud has 9% of the share in the cloud field. But Microsoft has, increasing their share, growing their share about 40% a year. So, and AWS is again 33%, and Google Cloud is 45%. So this is the share that they are, I mean, this is the growing percentage per year. So Microsoft is is increasing their share in the cloud, and they're heavily investing in security, cybersecurity, and they have incentive and capacity to develop different, very powerful security solutions. And we see that, in fact, with their Microsoft Sentinel offering and with their Defender suite. So if you learn one of these tools products, or if you invest in one of these Microsoft certificates, you might have a better chance in the field to get employed, I would say, or to progress. And yeah, so Microsoft Sentinel, as I said, in security and incident event management tool. So we have here incidents. Okay, you'll not see anything here because this is okay. Yeah, so I will select all. This is, as I said, demo environment. Let's open this one. So the COSI high severity malware was detected. As you see, the system detects it, and in most cases, if it's a known threat, in most cases, even if it's not a known case, depending on the modus operandi of the threat, the system identifies it and takes some actions, precautions to stop it. So this is a high severity, and this is a self-assigned severity, self-assigned by the system. You can also change them, or you can also assign. You can also create, for example, rules, detection rules, and assign different levels of severity. But this is something that automatically done by the Sentinel. So we see that there's a description of the incident here, which is very helpful for security analysts, cybersecurity analysts. So in most cases, this tool is used in most cases by dedicated cybersecurity analysts. If an organization have an established cybersecurity policy and cybersecurity department or team, they will have, of course, a dedicated cybersecurity SOC team, Security Operations Center team, who will be using this tool or a similar CM tool. And so this is really helpful. As you see, you'll see here the description of the tool, the category, and this is the source of the detection. So this incident, this is an incident, and so this incident is detected by Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. So this is probably a machine, or a client by an employee. Could be also, of course, a server, or even an IoT device. Could be an IoT device. And so entities, you see the entities. This is the name of the machine that this problem was detected, test machine 4. So since this is a demo environment, this was a machine that I run. So this is the file that was identified. This is, I think, the hash of the file.
Dr. Bal, we have 10 minutes left. So
okay, 10 minutes.
Maybe we can use some time for questions, if there are any questions from the audience.
Yeah, okay, give me another 2 minutes, please, if it's all right. So, okay, this was the Sentinel. This was the Microsoft Security Incident Event Management tool. Here we have Cloud App Security. This is for apps that an organization uses in their environment. So this could be any any application. It's not necessarily it's not necessarily an application from Microsoft, could be anything. So you can connect these applications to your cloud security portal, and you can monitor these applications, their privileges, their activities with users and with a large source of data. So, and Microsoft provides a single pane of glass, as they say. So security.microsoft.com. So you can have access here to the incidents, and you can have endpoints here. This is for Office applications and email security, and this is for Cloud Apps. Also, okay, 1 second. So for example, this is for email security. You will be able to use policies for anti-phishing, anti-spam, anti-malware, safe attachments. So here there are really very granular, very detailed settings that you can set up for your organizations. And Microsoft Purview is their data governance portal. So you can create sensitivity labels. For example, when you say, or when you create here a policy that that aims to detect any document with a US Social Security number, this policy will check all of your environment in the cloud, and they will identify your documents with US Social Security numbers, and they will automatically classify this document, and they will also enforce some policies on it. For example, if you say that, okay, this document should be classified confidential and it should not be sent out of the organization. Anyway, I think that's enough for time. This is for Endpoint Manager. This is for mobile device management. This is also another offering from Microsoft. So this, it's a lot. And if you are working with Microsoft Cloud Security tools, these are the main tools that you will be working with. Of course, it's not about this. Cloud Security is it's not only about these tools. So, but for the entry level, yeah, you might be working with these tools anyway. So thanks for.
Thank you, Dr. Bal. So there might be some questions from the audience, but I also have a couple of questions. Actually, I have a long list of questions as you were giving the presentation, not in any particular order, but I have some questions. Probably we should have another meetup for introducing Microsoft's security defender or the tools. So we might have more time in a new meetup. So my first question is, so AWS is offering some certifications. Microsoft is offering certifications. Probably Google is also offering some certifications. So you suggested to obtain a certification from Microsoft for certain reasons. So if you get certificate from one of them, do you think we can carry that knowledge to other cloud services? For example, I have my Microsoft certificate, but can I easily can I easily switch to AWS?
And of course, yeah, let me clarify this first. These are some of the certificates from major cloud providers, but it's not limited to these ones. So there are some cloud or provider agnostic or provider neutral certificates also. I forgot to mention about it, it was in the slide. So you can also, I mean, anyone also could consider getting one of these certificates, cloud neutral certificates, provider neutral certificates. And if you get certified in any of these cloud providers, you can, of course, switch to another cloud environment. Of course, you will need some time, but the main idea is more or less the same. It's the same, in fact. The only thing that will be changing that different providers offer different capabilities and functions, and they name it differently. Some of them have, of course, more investment and so more functionalities, and others have less, but it's not going to be very difficult.
So another question is, you mentioned the ways to enter into the field, so as a cybersecurity, professional. So there are boot camps in addition to college degrees or these government, what is the company-specific certification programs. There are also boot camps. As a matter of fact, Magnimind is going to start a new batch in March on cybersecurity. So my question is, do you think we need any prerequisites, any requirements to start learning about cybersecurity in a boot camp, or to start on a program to obtain a certain cloud security certificate? Are there any prerequisites? Do we need to know something prior to starting to learn about cybersecurity, or start to take any certificate program?
Yeah, of course, this might depend on what your organization or Magnimind plans, but normally I would say there should be no requirement, prerequisite. Of course, some people with certain backgrounds have an advantage, would have an advantage. For example, if you are coming from an engineering background, that individual will have an advantage in entering or finding the first job, employment, but it's not a must, I think. So I would say that there should not be any prerequisite. But of course, for example, let's be honest, if someone at the age of 55 comes, he should or she should just know that it might take some extra time until he gets or she gets her first job. So this is, I think, clear. But I was over 45. I was over 45 when I got my first cybersecurity job. So and I didn't have any IT or any technical background. And I'm not the only sample. So I have many friends who graduated from boot camps with zero background, and they're working. The only prerequisite should be maybe a passion for learning.
I see some of our audience is asking if there are any online resources available to start from. So that was also my question, one of the questions that I had in mind. So are there any online resources available to start looking at if you are thinking to get into cybersecurity field?
Yeah, there are a plethora of resources, but of course, it's not always very well structured. So that's why it's good to have a mentorship, a good program. Could be a private mentorship program, but still it will lack the hands-on opportunity. I mean, if you get an online course, you will lack the necessary hands-on opportunities that you need to get into the field. And there are online resources, but it's going to be difficult. But after the first step, you can advance quickly with your own resources. But first of all, you will have a better chance in a structured program, I would say.
Yeah. So again, they are asking if there are any resources that you can point out. Maybe it's difficult now. Maybe it's not on top of your head now, but maybe in another meeting.
Yeah. I would say and I think it's also in the Magnimind's program that you will follow security, CompTIA Security Plus content. So CompTIA Security Plus offers a good structure, I think. So you can start with that, but this is going to be a theoretical knowledge, but still you will profit heavily from that resource. So any well-rated online resource that that handles CompTIA Security Plus resources could be a good start.
CompTI, right? CompTI.
CompTIA, yeah, CompTIA. And for cloud security, all of the cloud providers offers a good resource, online resource for their security or for their certificates. And you will find unit by unit instructions and content.
So from each, cloud provider, say AWS might be offering their own.
Yes, and they have online resources that will help you along the path.
Thank you, Dr. Bal. Thank you very much. So I think we are out of time now. So I tried to ask the questions I saw at that webinar chat. So if there are any other questions, maybe we can have another meeting, another meetup meeting to talk about. But I think now we should stop. Thank you so much. We appreciate your presentation and answering our questions. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me, and thanks for joining.
Thank you. So thank you everyone for listening to being here and asking questions and listening to Dr. Bal's presentation. We are going to have more presentations on cybersecurity, so we're planning. So please just keep tuned to us. So we are going to receive news on our new meetup presentations. Thank you.